Dragon Ball Super is now with us. That is no longer news, but it has completed its first arc, the Battle of Gods arc. But how was this arc? Does the Battle of Gods arc add anything to the movie? Can it justify its own existence? Hello there, beautiful friends from around the world. I'm going to be your host, Blackenfist, and welcome to my review of the entire Battle of Gods arc in Dragon Ball Super. When Dragon Ball Super was first announced, as any true Dragon Ball fan, I was absolutely ecstatic. How couldn't I have been? Knowing that there was a new Dragon Ball anime on its way and Toriyama was part of the project, this is literally the thing that I asked for in 2012, a couple years back. Of course, I, along with many Dragon Ball fans around the world, watched the first couple episodes of Dragon Ball Super and thoroughly enjoyed them, as I did. However, it was not all smooth sailing. Although I was absolutely exhilarated to finally have a new Dragon Ball anime, there was things that did keep me a little down. Mainly, they were going to retell Battle of Gods. Well, why did I feel this way? Well, it was due through several reasons, and it was mainly that, first of all, you're doing a recap of old material. So, although yes, Dragon Ball Super does have new material inside of the series because obviously they had to drag out the Battle of Gods story to fill in 14 episodes. So, obviously there is new things in there, but the overall plot, the overall arc of this story, we already knew. We already knew the big notes of the entire story. I have a feeling, like many other Dragon Ball fans, I was anticipating new material, and although new material was announced for Dragon Ball Super, the Universe 6 arc, that wasn't gonna be until down the line. So you could see my disappointment initially with hearing about the Battle of Gods retelling. One immediate thing that stuck out to me and to many other fans is the fact that the Battle of Gods arc changes a couple story details around, which of course has started up a whole discussion on whether or not Dragon Ball Super or Battle of Gods the movie are legitimate canon to the series, but that's another discussion. I actually feel that the little detail changes are absolutely welcome. The Battle of Gods story obviously had to be expanded, but changing a couple of the details from the movie is required, and the reason is you're already retelling this story, and many Dragon Ball fans of course have seen the movie, so it would be kind of boring, I would say, to see the exact same story that you've already seen before. So changing this couple of details out is absolutely mandatory. Hitting every single plot point exactly like from the movie, it doesn't give Dragon Ball Super any distinguishing power besides being just an adaptation of Battle of Gods. You could have had the Battle of Gods arc and the Battle of Gods movie be exactly the same, but honestly the story would be a lot more boring because we would have already have known what was going to happen, and honestly I think that would have disinterested fans a lot quicker than if they just changed a couple of the details out. Early on, I felt that the Battle of Gods arc had a lot of potential. The way they were building up Super Saiyan God, and Beerus for that matter, I felt that they possibly could be expanding this story and it could all be justified in them doing so. And of course, this is coming from a person who really wasn't at the utmost excited at seeing a complete retelling of the arc. Obviously, for a Dragon Ball fan such as myself, seeing the antics that Emperor Pilaf or Master Roshi or even Oolong get into, the little things that we didn't see in the movie, it obviously already hooks me in. But there's a big elephant in the room, and that is, because this is obviously the same story as in the movie, is the Dragon Ball Super version, the Battle of Gods arc, better, or in any way better than the movie version? And this is one thing that actually had me worried since the beginning. Remember how I said I wasn't too eager to see an adaptation of Battle of Gods and Dragon Ball Super? And one of the reasons why is because there's already, obviously, there's a movie version that exists, but if the Dragon Ball Super version is not better than the Battle of Gods version, then I know for a fact that a lot of fans, a lot of people out there are going to ask, what was the point of even doing a Battle of Gods arc? The movie already exists. We are going to look back at Dragon Ball Super and just be like, well, if you really want this story, just watch the movie. And I already knew from the beginning, before watching the Battle of Gods arc, that could be a problem. Did it end up like that? Well, in my personal opinion, it was kind of like midway, because although I do believe that the Battle of Gods movie is the better version, which obviously renders this Dragon Ball Super to just curious fans, to just a casual Dragon Ball fan who just wants to consume this story, I honestly would more likely recommend him the Battle of Gods movie than the Battle of Gods arc, unless they're much more, I guess, into the series where they're curious about how Dragon Ball Super handled certain things or what they changed. And this was actually honestly a hard decision to come by, because there is something that you have to separate yourself from, and that is the novelty of watching new Dragon Ball. Obviously, the novelty of watching new Dragon Ball is going to overpower some certain fans. I think I'm probably one of those, because, you know, just watching new Dragon Ball, you're going to be enjoying this series. But when you think about it years down the line, like 5 years down the line, when this is no longer new, this is just old news now, when you look back at the Battle of Gods arc in Dragon Ball Super, how will that novelty is not there, and how will it be viewed then? And I honestly think it'll just be viewed as a much more puffed up version, sometimes unnecessarily, of the Battle of Gods movie. And that's not to say that I don't think the Battle of Gods arc didn't improve on anything. I think that for certain things, like for instance, Super Saiyan God and Beerus, I think were slightly better in the Battle of Gods arc. And I do think that the final episode of the fight between Beerus and Goku was actually a little bit more creative in terms of what they did in the fight than what they did in the movie. But that being said, overall, I have to give it to the movie, and I think that honestly is the biggest fault of the Battle of Gods arc. It's always going to be compared to the movie. You can't escape it. And that is, I think, the biggest flaw in this arc. Because you did the same story, you're making a gamble. You have to. It is not like maybe. You have to make the story. You have to make the anime version superior to the movie version, because obviously the anime version is going to be more bloated than the movie version, or you'll just be viewed as a second-rate adaptation, like, you know, oh, the manga was good, but the anime was not so good, don't watch that. And that's the way the Battle of Gods arc is. Oh, well, the movie is just the better version, and obviously a lot quicker to deal with, so just watch the movie. And that's kind of a shame, because although I personally did enjoy a lot of the stuff that was in the Battle of Gods arc, that's the way I think it's going to be viewed on years down the line. And hopefully, because obviously these same complaints can be applied to the Resurrection F arc. Obviously, I really hope they don't do that with the Resurrection F arc as well. As you can tell, I obviously think that it's a big mistake to actually retelling these movies in anime form. I'm not saying I hated it, obviously I didn't, but I'm just saying, as seeing beyond just my own opinion, I feel like it could have been a mistake. But anyway, those are my thoughts. That's my thoughts, Blackenfist's thoughts on the Battle of Gods arc in Dragon Ball Super. I enjoyed it. I can't say that many other people will look back on it as fondly, since it'll probably be looked at as a bloated version of the movie. So there you go. Anyway guys, if you enjoyed these thoughts, if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to the channel, as you will get every single one of my Dragon Ball segments as soon as they come out, as well as with other things that are going to come down the line just related to GT. But anyway, I'm Blackenfist, and as always, I'm